Welcome back to the channel. On this episode today, we're going to go over negotiating pricing for signing services and for direct clients and answer a lot of the commonly asked questions when this topic comes up in our meetups in the DMV. If you love notary signing agent content, please do yourself a favor, subscribe to the channel. That way you're always made aware of any up-to-date content I'm releasing to help you grow and scale your signing agent business or your signing service business so that you can have more money for your family and your legacy. So without further ado, let's get into it. So when you're negotiating pricing, we're going to start with working with signing services, what to do and what not to do. So just stay tuned. This is going to be important. I see this common error a lot, so let me just go over this. What not to do. Okay, first off, don't be rude or be aggressive when it comes to pricing. So what do I mean by that? So oftentimes signing services, when they're trying to find a notary, will send out text blasts for the job. And let's say they're sending out a text blast for seller signing at $70 with scan backs, and you reply $250. That is not the smartest use of your time for a couple different reasons. Number one, never respond to someone's text blast by countering at 3.5 times what they offered. First off, they're never going to accept it, okay? If it was 20% more, maybe. But 3.5 times more? Come on. You know they're not gonna accept it. So all you're really doing is making yourself feel good by trying to throw like a little jab by sending this text response. You don't really think they're gonna take this offer. So first off, stop wasting your time, grow up. And number two, what you're gonna do is piss off the person on the other side of that text blast. They're gonna look at that like, get the F out of here. And they're gonna go right to your profile and blacklist you. And guess what? As a signing service owner, I can see how many other signing services have blacklisted your profile, meaning they don't wanna work with you for whatever different reason. And that number gets up there high enough to a significant number, probably a good red flag that you're probably not the best person to work with. So look, if it's not for a fee that you're even close to willing to do yourself a favor and just ignore it. If it's on SnapDocs and you're concerned about the algorithm and the response rate, that's fine. Just reply, not available, and move on. Now, if you respond a little bit higher, you're more likely to get that accepted. I'll get into that in a second. But things to do not be rude or aggressive. Now, if someone's calling you to offer you a signing service position, same thing. If you come off as rude or aggressive, meaning they offer you that same job, $70, seller pre-sign with scan backs over the phone, and your response is, I gotta have at least 180 bucks. I gotta have at least 150 bucks. Okay, you're wasting your time for the same reasons I just said about that text message. You're gonna not get the response, number one. Number two, you're gonna probably get a blacklist. And number three, if you're really rude on the phone, that's enough evidence for them to actually leave a negative review if they want, because if you just reply, this is my fee, counter as a text, they can't really leave negative feedback. It's not usually something I see commonly, but if you're rude on the phone, even if they haven't hired you yet, that's enough for them to leave a negative review. So don't shoot yourself in the foot by acting unprofessionally. Never be rude, never be unprofessional, and always communicate well. Also, if they're calling you on the phone, generally it's a good sign to you that they are desperate. They probably don't have a preferred list in the area and they're trying to reach out. And when they're reaching out via phone, most people don't always answer their phone. So if you're answering the phone, that's a good sign for you that you may be the first person that's actually answered the phone. And it's pretty much yours to lose at that point. So how you negotiate, as long as you're professional and you're coming at it from a cooperative standpoint where you're trying to take great care of the client, but you need a little bit more money because you are worth a little bit more because you're really good at what you do and you communicate that well, oftentimes you will get that as long as you communicate that well, meaning you let them know like, yes, I walk my signers through the ALTA, through the closing disclosure, I summarize documents, I scan quickly, I have my mobile scanner that I'll bring in the closing if needed, or I can scan from my car. I know where my FedEx ship centers are and my FedEx offices are. I will get these back next day. I'm really good at what I do. And if you communicate that well and professionally, you will get paid more, because signing service owners, coming from my perspective, we will gladly pay more money for someone we know is going to just do an amazing job and get great feedback for our clients and not cause us a headache. So that is something to consider. So always communicate professionally, show them your benefits, and you will get paid more money, especially if they're calling you on the phone. Now, if it's just text and you are countering and you do want to counter, and it's not an absurd counter, it's 10%, 20% more, maybe it's 10, 20 bucks extra, go right ahead and counter, because you never know. If you are one of the few people that's available, you may get that signing. So again, if that's what you want to do, that's another option to professionally counter before you've accepted the signing. Now, also what not to do after you've accepted the signing is to counter for more money after you've been assigned the closing. 99% of the time, this is a terrible look for you. I had this happen literally this week as I'm filming this. A notary got the package. It was a buyer only. It was 162 pages. And they emailed us and asked for a fee increase of $15 because that is above their, what they consider a normal buyer package average. First off, why do I care what you consider a normal average? Second off, actually a normal buyer package average is closer to 130 to 160 pages, depending on if it's one signer or two signers, conventional or FHA or VA. If it's FHA or VA, it's going to be slightly more by about 20 to 30 pages because there's more documents to go in there. So all of that's going to depend, but the average is usually two signers conventional. It's about 150 pages. You're asking for $15 for 12 extra pages. Well, let's see, if it's $3 a ream and 12 pages is, I don't know, 5% of that. So we're talking about what? 10 cents a paper, you're asking for a $15 fee increase? Get the F out of here. That person was blacklisted. Now, we did not leave them a negative review because they've done other signings before for us and have done a great job. However, the other problem is they didn't communicate professionally when they asked for this. Because when we responded, hey, I'm sorry, we don't normally increase the fee for such a tiny amount. You know, if it was 300 pages, different story, glad to pay more. But 12 extra pages over, what I would consider average is about 150. That's normal. You don't let us reduce your fee if it's 120 pages. So why would I give you $15 extra? Absurd. But their response was, well, I've been doing this for 4 years and I would know, but whatever. Yeah, that is one way to get blacklisted. However, if they just said, oh, sorry, just wanted to check. I appreciate you checking. No worries. We'll get it done anyway. We'd be good. They'd still be on our favorites list. So again, how you communicate is so critical. If you come off unprofessionally, you will lose money and you'll lose future revenue, not from that signing service, but also other signing services that will see those negative reviews or those blacklists. So again, don't ask for more money after you've been assigned unless it's something reasonable. And reasonable would be if it's a buyer only package in this example and it's 300 pages plus the second set. Okay, that's double what it normally would be most of the time. Then yes, that's something we didn't know. Maybe there was a second mortgage that our client failed to let us know about. Then of course, we're going to up their fee because that's only fair. And we're always willing to work with notaries and be fair. However, communication always has to be professional. So don't forget this. Please don't forget this. Okay, moving on. Direct clients. When you're marketing to them and you are presenting your value to them, what to do and what not to do when negotiating pricing. Now, what not to do? Being unprepared. So what I mean by that. So when you're going to market to a direct title company, you want to do your research ahead of time. So that means that you have already looked at their website and you've figured out, okay, what are they about? What is their major concern? What is their mission statement? Are they really concerned about the clients? Are they focused on their niche of investors? Do they do closings all 50 states or is it just one particular state? Do they have a large staff? Do they have a small staff? Do they have 5 settlement officers or just 1? Meaning they probably have enough people to help out when someone's on vacation, or maybe they don't have that. What awards have they won? And then you also should be looking at them on LinkedIn and seeing all the people that are working there. And again, trying to glean as much information as you can about that company before you walk in. So when you're presenting yourself as a possible signing agent to work with them and service their clients, you have all this information in your head. So you're more prepared, number one. Number two, you're always asking questions. This is what you want to do. You want to ask lots of questions when you're marketing direct title clients. And as a signing agent, you want to be asking things like, I'm sure you have an amazing set of closers you typically work with. What do you love about the current notaries that you work with? And they'll tell you. And you want to listen closely to this because you want to, when you are explaining the benefits to them of working with you, obviously you're going to hit on the things they already love. You're going to reiterate those things. So they may say things like, hey, I love that my current closers are really good at what they do. They walk the signers through the documents and they have a really efficient closing. And I love that about them. Great. Mental note. Is there anything else that you love about them? Okay. You're fishing again for more answers about what they love in particular and what they want to see in their closers. And that way you can reiterate that back as well as the additional benefits of working with you. And then always ask, hypothetically, what could you improve, if anything? Or hypothetically, what would be improved or what is it possible to improve, if anything? And you're always saying hypothetically because it lets them off the hook. It gives them a free pass to say, hypothetically, I guess if I could always get documents hand dropped or hand picked up and dropped before and after closing, that would be amazing. Or hypothetically, if they could drive, to city that's an hour and a half away, when that comes up, because they have those occasionally, that that would be amazing, or not being charged more for that. So you're listening for these things as possible pain points so that, again, you're just gathering all this information up and you're using it as ammo. So once you ask all these good questions, then it's like, okay, great. I hear that. I totally agree. I agree it's important that we should walk the signers through the documents and have efficient closings. They don't have 2 hours to do closings. 30 minutes is typically more than enough for most closings. So I agree. I also love to walk the signers through the documents and summarize them. And if they're already experienced, I'll go a little faster. And if they're first-time home buyers, I know to go slower and answer those common questions that come up. And yes, I prefer picking up and dropping off because I get to see my clients and they don't have to spend money on a FedEx label. Driving 90 minutes to a closing, not a problem. First off, I drive an electric car, so I'm not really concerned about gas. But number two, I am always trying to add value to my clients. So yeah, I understand you don't have time to be driving 90 minutes one way and back for a closing because you're trying to build your business. So I want to be an extension of you for those closings. I'll gladly take them for my typical fee. I'm not going to jack it up just because it's a little farther away, just like I'm not going to slash it if it's a little bit closer. Like, I want to be there for you and give you easy pricing and also be wherever you need me to be for those closings. So you're trying to stack all of your benefits. Again, you always want to phrase what you're negotiating with a direct client, potential direct client. You always want to focus on the benefits to that person, to that prospect, not how you're great, but what benefit do they get? Because they're always asking when you're talking about yourself, so what? How does this benefit me? Because we're very me focused. That's how our brains operate. So always focus on what the benefits are for them. So common example I always give in our meetups is, don't say you have a printer in your car because they're saying, so what? How does that benefit me? Instead, say, I have a mobile office, so the benefits to you are when you have a last minute CD or Alta change, you can email me that while I'm at the closing. I can walk out to the driveway, print the updated CD and Alta, and have them sign it, or the updated deed or mortgage, sign and notarize it, and you don't have to bother with DocuSign later or sending someone back out to get stuff re-executed. After you have stacked all of the benefits of working with you, then they're going to ask, what are your fees? Now, this common question, you can always spin it around and say, look, we have clients that have, or I have clients that have various different budgets. What do you typically invoice, or what do your notaries typically invoice for a seller pre-sign, for example? And if they say, well, they typically invoice us $100 for a seller pre-sign, well, that may be lower than what you're used to. Maybe you're used to $150 for a seller pre-sign, 100's on the lower end. That is going to depend what your answer is based on how many clients you have that are direct versus signing service. So if you have no direct clients, this would be your first one, $100 for seller pre-sign, worst case, would still be probably better than the $75 you may be getting from signing services. So that's a win. Doesn't mean you have to settle for 100. You could always say, oh, I totally understand. Typically, I'm invoicing my clients, my direct clients, $125 for a seller pre-sign because of all the things we talked about before. And if you have stacked the value and the benefits to the ceiling, usually people are willing to concede and pay more because they're willing to pay more because they'll pay 25% more because they know the results will be 10 times better than what they're used to getting because they know you're an expert at what you do. Now, maybe they have a hard ceiling at $100. I don't know. And if that's the case, and they come back and say, I'm sorry, our budget is very strict because maybe they're a large company. They have a lot of policies in place. They can't bend. Stewart Title is a good example of this, that they have a ton of offices and they try to keep pricing as strict as they can. They have less flexibility with closing prices, and that's fine. Then you have to make the determination, would I like to have a direct client that's feeding me at $100 for seller pre-signs instead of $75 for signing service, and you don't have a lot of other direct clients? The answer is probably yes. You may graduate from that client and not do closings with them in the future when you have a lot of direct clients that are giving you more money for those closings, and that's fine. Not every client's a great fit or always will be a great fit. Now, on the flip side, if they said we typically invoice $175 for a seller pre-sign and your normal is $150 that you're typically used to invoicing your clients, and in your mind you're like, awesome, love it. But if you don't ask that question that way, what do you typically invoice the notaries, or what do they typically invoice you for seller pre-signs, or what do you typically budget for seller pre-sign, and you don't know the answer, you always got to turn it around and ask, because you never know what potentially could be on the table. So you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot either way. So that's what I would do if they're asking, what are your fees? Now, hopefully that has given you shed some light on what to do and what not to do with signing services and direct clients. Now I'm going to give you a few bonuses to help fill in a couple gaps that I haven't covered yet on pricing. So number one, what about in-office closings, Brad? Because some title clients may call you up and say, hey, next Friday, I've got 3 back-to-back closings, 12, 1, and 2 p.m. in office. Are you available? And I would say, check my calendar. If I'm available, I'm saying, yes, I'll be right there. I have it on my calendar. See you next Friday at 12. Now, they may come back and say, hey, do you have a discounted rate for those in-office closings? And my response is always no, because I provide the same great service, whether it's in office or 2 hours away. I don't jack up my fees when it's very far away, and I don't slash them when it's super local or in office. Now, some clients may come come back and say, oh, I'm sorry, we do have, and again, these are, some clients have more strict ceilings on what they can charge because they're a massive company and they've got way too much red tape. And the most we can pay for an in-office closing is $75. You know, are you still available? And you know, it depends. If you're normally dead for 12 to 2 and you got nothing to do, take the money. But if you are normally slammed or you have more offers coming from direct clients, typically during that time, just say, hey, I'm sorry, unfortunately, I can't do it at 75. Now I know I'm going to make that note on your profile. That way I'm aware of that for next time. And you know, I'm so sorry about that, but keep me posted for the next one. So it's okay. Not every signing is going to be a great fit. Not every client's a great fit. But I have title clients that ask us if we'll do discounted or group or volume pricing, and my answer is typically no. We're going to work with you what your budget is for, you know, a great closer consistently, and that's what we're going to invoice each time. And we're going to keep it as consistent as humanly possible. That way it's very easy pricing. Next, if I'm new, or how do I determine what my price to charge in the first place? So you will have to kind of ask around. So if you're in a local notary Facebook group, I highly recommend ours for the DMV area, but there are LSS ambassador groups all throughout the country, so reach out. You can message me directly and ask if you're not local to the DMV, which is Maryland, Virginia, District of Columbia, DMV, and I'll point you in the right direction. But ask in your group, maybe someone will be willing to share, or if not, you can always ask the title clients, you know, what is normal, and kind of go from there. Now, what I did when I started was, it seemed in my area of Maryland that $150 was kind of normal-ish as far as like a median price for buyer signings. Now, this was close to 4 years ago, and that's kind of what I settled on for me. Now, it's a terrible way to go about it, but I didn't have anyone coaching me on setting up pricing or fee structure from the start for direct clients. It's kind of you know, it's more of an art than a science, let's just say. Now, how I look at it is, if I am so much better than most other closers in my area, why in the world would I charge a median or an average fee? I wouldn't. If you're, you know, the best roofing company in your state, your fees should be higher. If you're the best notary in your area, your fees should be higher. Now, maybe they're not twice as high. Maybe they're only 25% higher, 30% higher, 40% higher, but they should be higher to measure it with the value that you're bringing. You're bringing so much more value because you're doing all these other things other notary signing agents won't do. You're driving everywhere. You're printing from your mobile office. You're providing excellent service. You are, you know, doing deed signings for free. You are going out of your way, bending over backwards to help take care of your client, picking up, dropping off documents. Like, you're doing all these things. You should be charging more because your clients will appreciate. They're glad to pay you 25% more. Like I said earlier, just like a signing service owner, I'm glad to pay more if I know this person is going to do a tremendous job and I'll have zero headaches and zero stress working with them. I'll gladly pay more. People will gladly pay it all day long. And the people that won't pay it are not the best fit for you, because if they're not willing to pay slightly more for an amazing signing agent, that's probably not the best client fit for you. It isn't for me, because as a signing service, there are numbers I won't go below because I can't consistently deliver on amazing closers and smooth settlements at a super low price, because then I'm in only people I can hire are brand new signing agents, and then I just can't deliver on my promise. I'm not willing to break that. I'm always wanting to stand by my service and be consistent for my clients, and there is a point I can no longer do that, and that's fine. I move on to the next client. It's okay. And the other part of that is, you know, culturally, if you are more concerned about money than you are about the client experience, we're not a good fit anyway. So that's fine. Work with someone who doesn't care about the experience and is only focused on the dollars and cents. Work with the Walmarts of signing service land. Work with the Walmarts of notary signing agents. That's fine. Walmart can be in business, and so can you. You don't have to charge the same thing. So coming up with pricing, find out what's kind of normal in your area, and if you're really good at what you do, charge more. That's it. Start higher than starting lower if you're really good at what you do. And I know if you're watching this video right now, this second, you are better than average because you are investing in yourself, just like I invest in myself. I feed my brain just like you're feeding your brain, and I know you're worth more, so charge more. Don't leave that money on the table. Keep it for yourself and your family, for your investments, for your legacy. Okay, off my soapbox. We're done. I appreciate you sticking around to the end. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I hope this video has brought you tremendous value about pricing. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. If you don't already know, we offer 10% commissions to notaries that refer title clients to us for a signing service business. So if they have out-of-state closings you can't do anyway, and their signing service sucks, if you refer them to us, we will pay you gladly 10% of whatever sales they send our way every month, direct deposit. No work for you. You get paid. You introduce us to an amazing client, and they have consistent results. It's a win all around. And if you love this notary content, I'm going to keep making it. I appreciate you being on the video to the end. You are the 1%. And until next time, peace.